In the heart of America's fractured justice system, where the badge often hides bigotry and power corrupts the very protectors sworn to serve, a black female general rises from the ashes of discrimination only to be dragged back down by racist cops who never saw her stars coming. Her one call to the Pentagon unleashes a storm that shatters their badges forever. If you're in the USA or UK, tired of the same old headlines about inequality and craving raw, unfiltered stories that expose the truth and demand change, hit that subscribe button right now. Don't miss out on narratives that empower, enrage, and inspire you to fight back. The sun dipped low over the sprawling suburbs of Arlington, Virginia, casting long shadows that dance like specters across the asphalt of Interstate 66. Major General Ilara Thompson gripped the steering wheel of her sleek black SUV, her mind a whirlwind of classified briefings and strategic maneuvers from her day at the Pentagon. At 48, she was a force of nature, a black woman who had clawed her way through the ranks of the U.S. Army, shattering glass ceilings and racial barriers with the precision of a sniper's bullet. Her uniform, though not worn today, was a symbol of her authority, 2 stars on her shoulders, earned through tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, where she led intelligence operations that saved countless lives. But tonight, she was just Ilara, heading home to her modest townhouse after a grueling meeting on cyber threats from foreign adversaries. The radio hummed softly with jazz tunes, a rare moment of peace in her high-stakes world. Little did she know, this ordinary drive would ignite a firestorm that would consume careers, expose deep-seated racism, and ripple through the corridors of power from local precincts to the highest echelons of the military. It started with the flash of blue and red lights in her rearview mirror. Ilara's heart skipped. Not from fear, but from the familiar pang of suspicion that every black driver in America knows too well. She pulled over smoothly onto the shoulder, her training kicking in, hands visible, engine off, no sudden movements. The patrol car screeched to a halt behind her, and 2 officers emerged, Sergeant Harlan Brooks and Officer Derek Vance, both white men in their late 30s, badges gleaming under the twilight sky. Brooks, the senior of the 2, approached with a swagger that screamed entitlement, his hand resting casually on his holster. Vance flanked the passenger side, his eyes scanning the vehicle like a predator sizing up prey. License and registration, Brooks barked through the cracked window, his tone laced with unnecessary aggression. Ilara complied, her movements deliberate. "Here you go, officer," she said calmly, handing over her military ID along with her civilian driver's license. The ID clearly stated her rank, Major General, U.S. Army. But Brooks barely glanced at it, his lips curling into a sneer. "Step out of the vehicle, ma'am," he ordered, ignoring the credentials that should have commanded respect. Ilara's brow furrowed. "May I ask why I was pulled over?" she inquired, her voice steady but firm, honed from years of commanding troops. "Taillights out," Vance chimed in from the other side, though Ilara knew that was a lie. Her vehicle was meticulously maintained, a habit from her military discipline. It was a classic pretext stop, the kind that disproportionately targeted people of color. She sighed inwardly, recognizing the signs of racial profiling. But she stepped out, standing tall at 5 feet 10 inches, her athletic build a testament to her rigorous fitness regimen. What followed was a cascade of escalating absurdity. Brooks demanded to search the vehicle, claiming he smelled something suspicious. Ilara protested politely, citing her rights, but Vance was already rummaging through her glove compartment. "Hey, Sarge, look at this, some kinda military badge." "Probably fake," Vance called out, holding up her ID like a trophy. "It's not fake," Ilara replied evenly. "I'm Major General Ilara Thompson. You can verify it." Brooks laughed, a cold, mocking sound. "Yeah, right. A black woman general? In this neighborhood? Pull the other one." His words hung in the air like poison, revealing the ugly underbelly of prejudice. They didn't believe her, couldn't fathom a woman of color in such a position of power. Instead, they saw a stereotype, suspicious, defiant, unworthy of trust. Before she could respond, Brooks grabbed her arm roughly. "You're under arrest for resisting," he growled, spinning her around and slapping handcuffs on her wrists. The cold metal bit into her skin, a humiliating restraint for a woman who had faced enemy fire without flinching. Vance joined in, pushing her against the SUV as they patted her down aggressively, their hands lingering in ways that bordered on violation. Ilara's mind raced. This wasn't just a stop, it was an assault on her dignity, fueled by racism so blatant it burned. Passers-by slowed their cars, some filming on phones, but no one intervened. Ilara, cuffed and seated in the back of the patrol car, demanded her phone call. "You get that at the station," Brooks snapped, but she knew her rights. "As a member of the armed forces, I invoke my right to contact my command," she stated, her voice cutting through the tension like a blade. Reluctantly, they handed her phone back. Still cuffed, she managed to dial a secure line to the Pentagon's Joint Chiefs of Staff office. The call connected to General Marcus Hale, her direct superior, a grizzled veteran who had mentored her through the ranks. "General Thompson? What's going on?" Hale's voice boomed through the speaker. Ilara explained succinctly, the stop, the disbelief, the handcuffs. Hale's response was immediate thunder. "Put those officers on the line. Now." Brooks, overhearing, snatched the phone. "This is Sergeant Brooks, Arlington PD. Who the hell is this?" "This is Lieutenant General Marcus Hale, U.S. Army. You've detained one of my top officers without cause. Release her immediately, or I'll have federal agents on your asses before you can blink." The color drained from Brooks' face. Vance, listening in, muttered curses under his breath. They uncuffed Ilara hastily, stammering apologies that rang hollow. "Ma'am, we didn't know, it was a misunderstanding." Ilara straightened her clothes, her eyes like daggers. "Misunderstanding? You mean racism." She drove away, but the incident was far from over. That call to the Pentagon set off a chain reaction that would dismantle their world. Back at home, Ilara couldn't shake the rage. She filed a formal complaint with the Arlington Police Department, attaching dashcam footage she had requested via her military channels. The cops' body cams had malfunctioned, but traffic cameras captured enough. The story leaked to the media overnight, courtesy of an anonymous tip from within the Pentagon. By morning, headlines screamed, "Racist cops handcuff black female general, Pentagon fury ensues." The public outcry was swift and ferocious. In the USA, Black Lives Matter activists mobilized protests outside the precinct, chanting Ilara's name. In the UK, where American police brutality often sparks solidarity movements, news outlets like the BBC and The Guardian ran exposés, drawing parallels to their own issues with institutional racism and the Met Police. Social media exploded. #General Justice trended globally, with celebrities from Oprah to Idris Elba weighing in. But the twists were just beginning. As investigations deepened, it emerged that Brooks and Vance weren't rogue actors, they were part of a systemic rot. Internal Affairs uncovered a pattern: dozens of similar stops targeting black and brown drivers in affluent areas, with fabricated reasons and excessive force. Emails surfaced showing Brooks joking about keeping the neighborhood clean in a department chat group rife with racist memes. Ilara, not content with complaints, testified before a congressional committee on military-civilian relations, her poise unbreakable. "This isn't about me," she declared. "It's about every black person who's ever been pulled over for driving while black. My stars protected me, what about those without them?" The Pentagon, embarrassed by the optics, launched its own probe. Hale personally coordinated with the Department of Justice, invoking federal civil rights violations. Brooks and Vance were suspended without pay, but the real destruction came when whistleblowers from within the PD stepped forward. A young Latina officer, Maria Ruiz, revealed that Brooks had mentored her with tips on spotting suspicious types, code for racial profiling. Vance, it turned out, had a history of domestic violence complaints swept under the rug. Twist number 1, as the DOJ dug deeper, they uncovered a corruption ring. Brooks wasn't just racist, he was on the take from local developers who wanted undesirables scared out of upscale neighborhoods. Traffic stops were a tool for gentrification, with kickbacks for each successful harassment. Vance, his loyal sidekick, had falsified reports to cover their tracks. The media frenzy intensified. CNN ran a special, From Battlefield to Backseat, a general's fight against racism. In the UK, protests in London echoed the calls for reform, linking it to cases like Stephen Lawrence. Ilara became an icon overnight. Interviews on The View, podcasts with Joe Rogan, even a shout-out from the Prime Minister during PMQs. But Ilara had her own secrets, adding layers to the narrative. Flashbacks revealed her backstory. Born in the projects of Chicago, orphaned young, she joined the army to escape poverty. Her rise was marred by microaggressions, colleagues questioning her promotions as diversity hires, superiors undermining her ideas. In Afghanistan, she uncovered a war crime by fellow officers, reporting it at great personal risk, which earned her enemies in the military old guard. Twist number 2. One of those enemies, retired Colonel Harlan Whitmore, coincidentally Brooke's uncle, had tipped off the cops about Ilara's route home, hoping to humiliate her in retaliation for her past whistleblowing. Whitmore, a vocal white supremacist in private circles, saw her as a threat to traditional military values. The connection exploded when emails between uncle and nephew were subpoenaed, linking local bigotry to national security circles. The fallout was cataclysmic. Brooks and Vance were fired, charged with civil rights violations, assault, and corruption. Their trials became spectacles. Ilara's testimony sealed their fates. Brooks, defiant to the end, ranted about reverse racism on the stand, only to be sentenced to 10 years. Vance flipped, testifying against his partner for a reduced plea, but still got 5 years. The department underwent a purge, the chief resigned, reforms mandated body cams for all, implicit bias training, and community oversight. Ilara was promoted to lieutenant general, her story inspiring a wave of diverse recruits. Yet, the deepest twist came personally. Ilara discovered during the investigation that her late father, whom she never knew, had been a victim of police brutality in the 1970s, killed in a similar stop. This revelation fueled her advocacy, founding the Thompson Foundation for Justice, partnering with ACLU and NAACP. Years later, as she stood at the podium receiving the Presidential Medal of Freedom, Ilara reflected on that fateful night. The cops' careers were destroyed, but more importantly, a system was shaken. Her call to the Pentagon hadn't just saved her, it sparked a revolution. Ilara's early life in Chicago was a tapestry of hardship and resilience. The windswept streets of the South Side were her playground, where gangs roamed and dreams died young. Her mother, a single parent working 2 jobs as a nurse, instilled in her the value of education and perseverance. "You ain't just surviving, baby, you thriving," she'd say, her voice tired but fierce. Ilara excelled in school, earning a scholarship to West Point, where the culture shock hit hard. Cadets from privileged backgrounds whispered about affirmative action, but she proved them wrong with top marks in strategy and leadership. Her first deployment to Iraq in 2003 was a baptism by fire. Leading a platoon through Baghdad's chaotic alleys, she navigated IEDs and ambushes, her quick thinking saving her unit multiple times. It was there she met Captain Jamal Reeves, a fellow black officer, and their romance blossomed amid the dust and danger. But war took its toll. Jamal was killed in a sniper attack, leaving Ilara with a scar on her heart and a determination to honor his memory by rising higher. Back stateside, promotions came, but so did obstacles. In 2010, during a joint operation, she witnessed Colonel Whitmore ordering the cover-up of civilian casualties. Reporting it anonymously at first, then openly when pressured, she faced backlash, transfers to dead-end posts, anonymous threats. Whitmore, demoted but not discharged, harbored a grudge that festered like an open wound. Fast forward to the night of the stop. As the cuffs clicked, flashbacks flooded Ilara, her mother's stories of the civil rights era, marches in Selma, the fear of night riders. In the patrol car, she plotted her next moves, her mind a chessboard. The Pentagon call wasn't just a hail, it activated a network. Hale alerted the Secretary of Defense, who looped in the Attorney General. By dawn, FBI agents were at the precinct, seizing records. Subplot: Maria Ruiz, the whistleblower, had her own arc bullied by Brooks for her heritage. She recorded secret meetings, her evidence pivotal. After testifying, she faced threats but found protection through Ilara's connections, eventually becoming a detective in a reformed unit. Twist 3: Vance's plea deal revealed a larger conspiracy, a national network of officers linked via dark web forums, sharing tips on profiling and evading accountability. The DOJ's raid on this Blue Brotherhood led to hundreds of arrests across states. Ilara's personal life evolved too. She reconnected with Jamal's sister, forming a bond that healed old wounds. Romantically, she met Dr. Aidan Clark, a UK-born civil rights lawyer in DC, their relationship adding international flavor, trips to London, discussions on transatlantic racism. The story weaves through courtrooms, protests, media storms. Dialogues crackle, Brooks' racist rants in jail, Ilara's eloquent speeches. Twists include a false flag attempt by Whitmore to discredit her, a planted story of her faking credentials, debunked spectacularly. Climax. At Brooks' sentencing, protesters clash with counter-demonstrators, Ilara intervenes peacefully, her words diffusing tension. Resolution, careers ruined, justice served, but Ilara knows the fight continues. She retires to advocacy, her legacy enduring.